morning, and welcome to the first day of a brand new challenge from me and Big Al.
Good morning.
Now, we're in Colway in Gloucestershire, and we've been invited up by Chris and Melissa, and the task they want us to do is quite a difficult one.
Yeah, but it's not uncommon wanting to make 2 rooms in one.
Yeah, bigger space. We couldn't miss the house. Look at the colour of it.
It's a bit bright for this time of day, isn't it?
Come on, let's go make a start. Let's see what this job's really about. Well, let's have a look at this job then, Chris. See what we've got to do.
Right, well, what it is, mate, basically we want to knock the room into one, so...
These 2 rooms, yeah. Take this wall out.
This, they've got to go.
And make this one big reception.
Yeah.
Right, well, it's quite a thick wall. Do you know what's behind the plaster?
I take it for granted it's going to be stone. All the external walls are stone.
But you're not sure?
I'm not sure about this one, no.
Take the architraves off.
Bit of a mystery, Al.
Yeah, chop a bit of plaster.
Well, I reckon it could well be built of sandstone like this is, this big fireplace. Nice bit of dressed stone. If that's the case, we may have to put some needles through to support upstairs while we take it out.
Yeah.
I think what we need to establish, first of all, is exactly what's behind there.
Yeah.
So if we take out the architrave, chip back some of that,
yeah,
then we can actually study it, make a plan, we'll have a look upstairs, see what we need to do, and then we'll work out a plan and crack on.
We'll suck it and see.
1, 2, 3.
Since we've come in, we've put a new kitchen in, we've put in the new stairs, and we've took down the kitchen ceiling and replastered and put a new one up. And we're just starting the actual lounge and the dining room now. A lot of the work we've been doing ourselves with the help of odd people, but the majority of the DIY and we try and do ourselves. But this particular project, Chris didn't feel that he was capable of actually taking this one on.
Corner beat. Yes, this side's been replastered as well, so I bet this is going to be tough. Now, what we need to do is establish where this wall is in the building. Al?
Yeah?
Have you had a look at the floorboards and the joists upstairs to see which way they run?
No, I haven't yet.
Would you do that for us?
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah.
Right. Now, the reason I ask him, it's very important before you actually start demolishing anything, particularly a wall inside the house, because it may be load-bearing. Now, this one is load-bearing. Now, if I explain to you basically how a load-bearing wall works, this is where a lot of people make mistakes when they remove walls within the house. There's your house, 2 floors, okay? There's the roof. Now, what happens is, because of this span from there to there being quite long, and to stop the sag in the floor, there's normally what they call a spine wall built in the middle, and then that carries through, and it holds this floor up, it carries through and holds the ceiling to the bedroom up. And then on this spine wall, because there's weight pointing down on the roof, either side, there's normally what they call a purl in there and a brace off of this spine wall, and that stops the roof sagging. That's how it works, and they're tied through. Now, this is our wall down here. If you want to take this wall out, so you're going to remove it, unless you put a big steel beam in or a big timber beam in there, which goes front to back, this could all drop down with the weight, and the whole thing could fold in like a pack of cards, and your whole house could fall down on top of you.
Now we can establish something. The floorboards are running this way, but the joists underneath them will be running that way. That's good for us. We don't want the joists running into this wall, because this is the one that runs from the ground floor, where Tommy's chopping off the plaster, all the way up to the roof space. Now, the other reason for that being important is that in this room, the bedrooms, here and here, there's all the furniture, there are people that are in the rooms, it's a lot of weight, and we don't want that transferred onto whatever we put below. So, I'm now going to find out what weight is transferring from the roof onto this wall as well. So, quick dash into the roof space. Well, no dramas there. We can get on with it. How's it going, Tommy?
Well, it's coming off. How'd you go upstairs with the joist?
All right. This wall goes up through the bedroom and into the roof space. There's no support for the roof off this wall at all, and the floor joists are running in parallel that way with the floorboards running this way, obviously. So there's no weight on this wall.
Except what's above it, the wall above.
Yeah.
Right, well, we better get on with stripping this plaster. Why I put out on that side? Because that's the side of the wall with all the hard render. Well, there's no point in getting old if you don't get white, is it? Typical, that's my fate, I suppose. There was only a little bit of soft stuff, the rest is all hard. Well, that pretty much should do it. Shame, really, because quite a nice stone wall. But it has to come down. We have to make this a big room. Right, now that's that done. We're going to clear up the floor and then do the very next stage, which is support the structure above.
We've had the house for approximately 2 years. The things that appealed to us originally about this house when we came to buy it, that it was detached and set away from the road, so we wasn't, although we were on quite a main road, but we are detached, set away, and when you're actually in the house you don't always hear a lot of traffic and everything. I don't think we could have physically done something like this because it would be impossible just to do it on weekends. We would never have any living space. It would take probably months to do something like this, and I'll be honest with you, I think once we'd started we'd probably never finish it because it is such a major job.
Careful, yeah. We're taking these brackets off. Not that they need to come off, but they've turned out to pose a bit of a danger. Even us professionals, you know, working in this field all the time, this industry, we can still make mistakes and have accidents. And unfortunately, something simple like this, because of that sharp corner, as Al was working, he lifted his hand up, caught it. I'm afraid he's got a nasty little gash underneath that. So we're going to send him off down the hospital to get a few stitches put in it, while I carry on with the work. Off you go, Al.
I'm going to see the nurses.
Now, the very next stage is to remove the wall downstairs. Now, but before we can even think about doing that, we have to support this wall up here in the bedroom. Because if we don't, and we remove the wall downstairs, the whole lot's going to fall downstairs. Now, this is probably the most important part of the job, actually, to make sure that we do this securely and safely.
I'm no structural engineer, but I know you pick up an armful of stone, it's heavy, you know, so with the bedroom wall up above, you know, 14 inches wide, I knew that it was going to be too big a job for me, you know. With the wall down, it's going to make such a difference, you know, with a nice fire one end, a nice settee, the telly the other end, you know, it's going to be incredible.
Now, this is called a needle. And talking of needle, I've got the needle because I've had to put these in on my own, because you know who's down the hospital. But all a needle is a small RSJ, or it can even be a strong lump of timber. Now, the purpose of these is we're going to put these through these holes, all three of them, and then we have to put a wooden packer on top between the top of this and the stone underneath in the wall. And then once we've wedged it tight, that means the whole thing's compact. Then we can go downstairs to the floor below, put the acros in position, tighten them up, and they'll force the ceiling and the floor against either side of this, holding this wall up in the air, enabling us to take the wall out below. It will all become clear. But it's a bit of a struggle on my own trying to get this in here.
I'm back, mate, I'm back.
Yeah, you're back, yeah. Fine, what time of day do you call this a comeback?
Looks like you want hand, doesn't it?
Give us a hand. Is your hand all right?
Oh, yeah, but I've got to have a rest for about 3 days.
Did they give you any injections?
Yeah, I got the needle.
Right, yeah. Try and get hold of the end of this needle, then.
Hang on, we're up against the pipe. That's it, all right, mate, now.
Lovely. Now, I've just got to put this wooden wedge in, put it into place. Now, you have to drive them in to make sure that it's really tight. That's lovely. That's got all three. They're nice and tight down onto the floor so that when we acro them up, it should all work. Ready, Al?
Yeah.
Next stage, put the acros in position. Now the purpose of screwing these down is so that when you tighten them up, they don't twist. That's it, mate. We can easily take this out now without any problem. That's the next job. So what do you think?
Yeah, same.
Good day's work?
Yeah, same.
Right, well, we'll see you on day 2. Time for us to go home. Come on, guys. Well, what am I saying? You are home. It's challenge day number 2, and we're in Cornwall in Gloucestershire. And Melissa and Chris have invited us down for a very difficult challenge. Now, the challenge consists of making 2 reception rooms into 1. Something that quite a lot of people actually want. So why don't you come in and have a look and see how we're doing? Come on out. Now, so far, we've stripped off all the plaster to reveal the stonework underneath. Now, this wall, being as it's a load-bearing wall only for the wall above for the next floor, none of the floors are suspended on it. We've had to suspend the upper part of this wall to enable us to take this down. Are you ready, Mr. Hurd?
Fit and ready as I'm ever going to be,
Screw
sir.
those muscles. He's like a tiger today. Ooh. The first thing we've got to do, very important.
Headgear, glasses.
All the safety equipment.
Yes.
Yes, because we know we had a little accident yesterday. We don't know that occurring again.
Yeah, I'm going to play on that today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stamp on it if you don't pick yourself up and start. Ready?
Yeah.
Way. That was pretty dramatic, wasn't it? Huh? See, that's why you have to have this safety gear and be very careful what you do. Right, let's push this off here, Al.
Yeah.
Watch, stand back.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pick a bit of this loose stuff down, all right?
Yeah.
Well, I can take this beam out now.
Yeah.
I'll spin it.
Tilt it off. Okay. Take it straight out.
Yeah, can you manage it? Yeah. Cool, now wait a minute. It's heavy, that is. Major structural work like this needs planning permission and has to be approved by your local council. We're having a visit from the building surveyor, Mark, to check the work. So, Mark, what do you think of it so far?
Yeah, well, it says you've certainly got all your props in and your pins through. You say you use steel ones for that?
Yeah, we've got 3 steel needles going through in line with these acros.
Yeah.
And we've acroed them up off the board, spread the weight.
Yeah.
So that's really solid up there. As you can see, we've been able to take this out and there's been no movement
No
at
movement.
all. All right, we'll come through here a minute. There's something I'd like to say. If you're going to do building work like this at home, it's extremely important that you coordinate with the local authority. You must get involved with the local inspector because there's 2 main reasons for that. One, the health and safety issue, not just for you and your family, but for anyone who comes behind you. Once you move on from this house, the people coming in, they must be assured that this place is safe, all the renovation works are safe. And number 2, if you don't work with a building inspector, when you come to sell it, you will have serious problems because when the solicitors do the search for the alterations, there's been no permission given by the local building authority, and you'll be having big trouble trying to sell it. That's right, isn't it?
That's right, yeah, and you have to submit a regularisation certificate, so the fee's greater than it would have been in the first place. Because, yeah, I mean, nothing happens overnight. It can hold up your sale. We've had a few where they want to exchange the next day, and then they came to us, and it holds it up for another couple of weeks.
This is retrospective permission, isn't
right,
it?
yeah.
Well, that causes all sorts of problems because you have to open it all up again, check that the work has been done properly, and then, of course, go back and finish it all. Plus, you have to pay a bigger fee, and all this takes time.
Right, yeah, it makes life much easier if they come to us in the first place. We are very approachable and give them, sensible advice right from the start.
There you go, from the horse's mouth. And I think that mouth must be rather dusty and thirsty.
It is,
now.
yeah.
Come on, I'll get you a nice cup of tea. Thanks very much for that, Mark.
Thanks.
That's most of the prep work done. All we need now is a green oak beam to support the structure. I've come to meet Charles Hopkinson, whose forestry business has been in his family for hundreds of years.
The ground here that the trees are growing on have been in my family since 1540, without ever being bought or sold.
Really? That's a long, long time.
My ancestors have looked after the trees, and the ones that we've got here are down to them.
Now, do you manage to harvest and replant this area properly? Obviously, you're supervised, I suppose.
Yes, there's a continual programme here. We work on a 5-year programme that takes about 3 years to put together by the time all the relevant bodies have sat down and agreed a plan.
At the end of the day, really, from your point of view, it's got to be viewed as a crop, hasn't it?
Yes, I mean, I see it as a crop, although it's obviously on a huge rotation. Some crops are faster than others, and we do have some softwoods here, which are remarkable in that there are trees here planted in the 60s by my father, which I'm harvesting now.
What you've done here is magnificent. But which brings me round in full circle to why I'm here. I don't know whether you can provide this, I need a green oak beam.
Yeah.
Of dimensions 14 inches by 9.
Yeah.
And 13 foot long.
Yes, that's no problem. It's quite a very common request. Sizes vary tremendously, but I'm sure there's a tree out there, Tommy, with your name on it.
Yep, and this is my tree. Now we've got to get this thing off. I'm glad I had a big breakfast. You ready, guys? 1, 2, 3, lift. Up. Oh! Who's giving me all the weight? Hold on, I got this.
Let me get down a minute.
A major piece of timber like this will cost you about £200 to £300. Now, I wonder if there's any possibility, Al, that we could leave this here as like a stunning feature.
If we could get it upright, we could make a totem pole.
Now, boys, when I count to 3, take a deep breath and we'll run straight out the doors and we'll ram them.
Whose idea was this?
Well, that's part 1 over. The difficult part is going to be transferring this into that house over there. I think now we should have a nice cup of tea and think about how we're going to do this. To get the beam into the house, we've got to go right through this front wall. All carefully calculated, of course. This is where the beam's going to come in, the big oak beam that's outside. Bring it through at this height, and it's also going to sit on here once we get it right through to the other end.
On this side of the room, I'm chopping out a hole to receive the beam that's going to form the bearing for it on this end. So, hopefully, I'll be done in a minute.
That's it. I'm free. Free. Oh, well. You know, that was a tough day. That really was a tough day, I'm telling you.
Don't want many more of these.
So we come to the end of a very tough day. Day 2 of the challenge.
Yes.
And what have we achieved? Well, the wall's gone.
The recesses for the
They were
pockets.
difficult, weren't they?
Yeah.
And of course we had to go and get the beam, which is here, solid oak, cut from a whole tree. Now this beam has got to go where?
Through that hole.
That hole up there. And we haven't quite worked out yet how we're going to do it. It's a bit problematic.
Yeah, but let's do that tomorrow, because tomorrow's another day.
Tomorrow's another day, yes. Join us for day 3 of the challenge tomorrow and see how me and Big Al solve the problem. Come on, let's go and have a little chat and over something long and cold. Hi and welcome to challenge day number 3.
In beautiful Colway, Gloucestershire.
And our challenge, a difficult one as usual, is to make 2 small reception rooms into 1 large one. Here we are again.
Blimey. It's just bright and airy now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really taking shape now. You can actually see what we're trying to do. Now the wall's got a huge big reception room. And we've got, if you think about it, we've got a his and hers fireplace, a his and hers window.
Single door.
No, a his and hers door.
Of course, that's for Chris going to the pub.
Exactly. Right, now, let's see. So we've taken the wall out. We've supported everything above.
Yes.
What's going to be your first job today?
I've got to set about the beam. Get it planed, finished off.
Get it ready. OK, while you do that, I need to enlarge this hole here just so that it'll receive the beam better.
Yeah, OK.
And we can do that. You go off and do that and I'll get my tools out.
See you later. You may wonder why I'm planing what looks like a beautiful piece of wood already. Well, this is the reason here. See these score marks that go vertically across the grain? These are what's made by the bandsaw blade when it's been down at the mill. Now, if you let the wood dry out, all of those become more pronounced when it's been varnished or polished. So by running the planer over it, you get rid of those, plus the wood's nice and soft when it's wet.
Well, a house, I believe, was built in 1876. It's one of the oldest ones up here. This is called Old Road. It's like on a small triangle. This is one of the old places up here. We've been up here now just over 2 years, and we've done quite a bit of work to it. But one of the main reasons why we did buy it was because we had the foresight of knocking the wall down and having a big lounge, you know, rather than 2 small reception rooms. And this is how it's come to light now. You know, this is the work what we're undertaking now.
This beam is becoming more and more problematic. Now we have the problem that the roof's in the way for getting the beam in here, because we've got to build a scaffold tower. So that means now that I'm going to have to take a section of the roof apart, take these slates down, so we can actually get the scaffolding up here to make a rail across there that we can then bring the beam in. What else can go wrong?
Not at some point where didn't he say that he's going to be taking the porch down?
He did. I didn't think he was doing it quite this soon, though.
Well, why don't we lose the porch?
Carry on sanding, you. I've had my thinking cap on about the problem with the beam getting in the hole. As you can see, there's a scaffolding tower going up very fast, and that's what we're going to rest the beam on. Now, me and Al may be feeling pretty strong, but there is no way we can get the oak beam up there without some help. So when in doubt, call in some boys' toys. All the cranes are out. Well, have you got anything else there? Have you got some sort of machine, like a forklift? Who's in charge? Yeah, well, the big dilemma we have, I have to have the crane today. Well, do you know anybody else? Well, how much is that going to cost? How much? No, that won't be any good. I don't want to dig any holes. I don't want to buy the crane. I only want it here for a couple of hours. It weighs half a ton. No, sorry, that's the wrong... I must have the wrong number, sorry. At last, success. I was starting to get a bit worried there for a while.
Now, this is going to be no mean feat to get the beam up on here and through that hole. Now, this is Tommy's cunning plan. Very strong scaffolding to put the beam on here to get it through the hole over there. But we're not going to use the beam just to see if it works. We're going to have a dry run with a scaffold plank. So let's see if his theory works. You ready, Tommy?
Ready, Al? But the other piece of wood is considerably heavier than that. Will it work? Right, hang on now. That's lovely. Now, this has been a problem for us. This great big lump of timber which weighs half a ton. And how are we going to get it up there? That's always been a problem. Thankfully, we found one of these. And although it's going to help us get it up on the scaffold, we really just like having toys for boys. Right, Al, it's now the moment of truth. If you go up on the scaffold,
yeah,
I'll send it up to you.
Very good, sir.
Easy.
Can you come over? Tommy, if you bring that end round so that we're at the right angle for the going through the wall.
Right, we ready to go down?
Yeah. Can you swing it over about three inches this way? You're almost there. You'll do it at that. Yeah, it's okay.
So far, so good. A little more lubrication because every bit counts. Okay, Al, send her in.
Great.
Oh, lovely. Steady as she goes. Yes, go up. Okay. Bit more, yeah, going all the way in. Coming out. Push up all the way in. Keep it going. Yeah, that's it. Hey! It's all the way in.
I must admit, I've been extremely worried all day today. I kept looking at the beam, sat there thinking it's just never go in. And then what was going to happen inside, I'm just so relieved that it's in there and it's safe, hopefully. I think he's very relieved that it's gone in. I think he was extremely concerned just in case his plan didn't work.
You might wonder what I'm fiddling about at here. At the end of the beam, we've got to butter it up or put the mortar on top of it, quite a sloppy mortar, and it goes up onto the top, and then when the acrows jack the beam up, it squeezes it out but holds all of the stonework in position for when we take the acrows out.
That's it. Now that's the oak beam. We're all buttered up on top with mortar. Do you want to take those for us? We put these two acros in position, and we've put these pieces of wood as plates, top and bottom, so we don't want to damage the oak beam, and we also want to spread the weight on the floor. You ready, Al?
I am indeed.
We can start winding this up. Remember, of course, to hold that ring up while you tighten. You keep an eye first, Chris, that we're going up together. It's a lot easier with that extension, isn't it, Al?
A lot easier, it'll give you more leverage.
1, 2, 3. On the block. Hold on. This is the final task of the day. We're going to put in the last pad stone, which is a piece of solid sandstone. And we squeeze it in tightly under that. Give us a hammer, Al. Now, to ensure that the pad stones are right underneath the beam, forced underneath there, and there's no cavities, we use a bit of old slate. And what we do is to take it, pass it in there. Well, after all the shenanigans that we've had, we've finally got the beam in position.
And we've got the pad stones in.
Well, that's very important because they must go off tonight. But there's still loads to do, loads more to do. So why don't you join us for the 4th day of our challenge? You ready, Al?
I certainly am.
Hit the road, son.
Cheers. This is what you call bashing your bits. I'm creating a scutched finish down here with a scutch hammer, and this is a bonding or a key for the render that we're going to put over the top before we put the set coat on top of it.
Because it was me who actually made a great big hole in the front of Chris and Melissa's house in order to get that big oak beam in there, it's my responsibility now to build it back up again.
I'm just applying the PVA adhesive to the wall. Now, it seals the dust in, and it also acts as a bonding agent for when Tommy's going to put his render coat backing onto the top of it. This will have gone dry, but the render coat will reactivate it and bond the two together, and then I'll be able to put my set coat over the top.
When you're patching up stonework, putting a piece back in where there's a hole, once you've actually built the new work, it has a tendency to shrink back from the old work, and you'll get a little tiny crack. And then that could be serious, because once you take down all the supports, what's above can sometimes drop down that fraction and it'll throw cracks through the outside of the building. So what we do to avoid that is take some offcuts of slate, and between the new work and the old existing work, we put it in position like that, lots of different bits, and we actually bang it right through. Then we put another layer on top until you've got that whole thing packed. Just let that set, cut off the excess, render that hole up, job done. You'd never know it was there.
The reason for me sanding up here is if you catch this early enough before it's had a chance to really soak into the beam, you can get rid of all of this mortar stain. Now, this is where it happened from where we've buttered up the top of the beam, and then we've wiped off the excess, but it leaves a stain. So if you get the sander in good time after the beam's gone in, you can normally get rid of this stain, and then you can finish the beam up to a nice finish.
Now this is what we call the undercoat plaster, and we're using sand and cement. The mix is fine sharp, that's one of the sands, and soft sand. 2 parts fine sharp, 2 parts soft sand, 1 part cement. Got that? The best way to gauge it is to use a little bucket, like a kiddie's sandcastle bucket. And you want it the consistency of double cream. Walk in position, and then just push it on there. Don't mess around with it too much. Just get it on, let it go off a bit, then you pull it off with a rule. What we call a rule, which is a bit of straight edge. And working from both sides, it gives you a nice flat surface. There you go. They'll come out a lot quicker than they went in.
Yeah, certainly will.
Well, size-wise, weight-wise, it's just immense, isn't it? You know, it's incredible to think, you know, God knows how they've done it years ago.
Now it's time to take out the needles. All the mortar's gone off hard underneath and we've released all the acro props. Just got to take out these timber chocks, which I've just released anyway, and then take the needles out. Now when these are out, I've then got to fill in this hole with stone and then just plaster up, finished.
Well, you don't have to be the best plasterer in the world. I mean, that's not very straight. But the trick is to take a straight edge, a piece of wood like this, look down it to make sure that that edge is nice and straight. And then all we do is put it to the old plaster on that side and using the old plaster on the other side as a guide, just move it side to side. And not only will it be flat, it will also match both sides of the plaster. Then all you have to do is put a skim coat on it, job done.
I didn't realise it was going to be quite as much work as it was. When people talk about things, I was saying it's a lot easier until you're actually doing it and you realise how structural it actually is. All this work hasn't put me off, no, not at all, no. I'd do it again, probably, in a few months.
The rendering on the front of this house has got a special coating. Now, I haven't got any of that coating, so I'm going to try and recreate that effect just using a stick and some sand and cement. Now that the hole's been completely filled in, time for the scaffolding to come down. Now, once you finish using this straight edge, and it's all nice and flat, you have to then, first of all, use a wooden float. But before you do that, I'm going to show you a little tip. Now, when you put plaster, the finish on here, although this is flat to the old timber, in order to avoid a lump occurring here, you take the edge of the trowel and you just cut back that edge. Now the float, just a wooden float, and this flattens it. All these little ridges you might see, these little ridges and marks that you see, it will flatten all that. Lovely, flat and smooth. Perfect, that's the roof repaired. Now's the time, the final act, the moment of truth, and you don't look worried. I'm not worried at all. I had every confidence in you, Al.
Oh, would you look at that? Are you making enough noise?
There you are. Do you remember what this looked like before, when it was just two small reception rooms? And then, of course, we had this big, thick wall here, big, thick stone wall.
A lot of stone to come out as well.
Yeah, and we had to do the needles upstairs in two fully furnished rooms.
Yes.
Yeah, take them out. What else did we have to do? Of course, there was the major difficulty, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Getting this beam in. And that was apart from the difficulty of obtaining it in the first place. We even had to go out into the forest and find it, didn't we?
Yeah, and then when we got it back here and we put the scaffolding up, the porch was in the way.
That's right. Now, who put the porch there? I mean, that wasn't in the plan, was it?
No, it wasn't.
I didn't think I'd have to take half the roof down and rebuild it all.
No, that's true. and then finish it off again at the end.
That's right. But consequently, I think it's turned out to be a wonderful job.
And I can't hear it creaking.
No, that's me. You can hear creaks me bones. Now, the keener-eyed of you may question why we haven't filled the gap in between the ceiling and the beam. Well, that's simple. Neither Chris nor Melissa like this textured finish of the ceiling, so they decided they're going to replace both of them. And we couldn't agree more, could we, Al?
Totally.
But what I do wonder is what they think of this wonderful room. Now, finally, Melissa and Chris, what do you think of your new double-sized living room?
It's made such a difference. It's just like a new house. You know, I can't thank you both enough.
Well, that's nice. And Melissa, it's so different from when we first started.
Yeah, it is, and I feel the same as Chris. I can't thank you both enough, thank you.
Well, you can. You can always part with a few quid for an old boy like me. What are you laughing for? I said for me, not for you. Now, I'm sure that Alan would agree with me that we'd like to wish you long, cosy winter evenings in front of a nice blazing fire, watching the television with your favourite programme on the TV. Challenge Tommy Walsh. Well, no comment?
I'm not saying nothing, no.
And, of course, one thing that we can now do is to open straight onto your kitchen diner from the living room.
Yeah.
I think it's about time for that cup of tea.
Come on, then.
Or maybe something stronger, even.
I'll crack a few open.
Yeah.
Oh, till the next time. Cheers.
We're really pleased that Tommy and Alan came to do the challenge. I didn't realise until that you started work and to today's date how much was involved in actually everything from start to finish. It's been a long few days, but I'm very pleased with what's happened and what's been done.
It's just like a new front room, you know. It's so so vast up to how it used to be. Now there's more freedom, you know, for the furniture. We got a lot more scope. Whereas before they just said, right, we got to have a two-seater there or one seat. It's not that anymore. We can have a nice three-seater settee, you know, and a nice couple of chairs in the telly where we want it, innit?
Yeah.
You know, it is very usable now, innit?